I wanted to take a few minutes and explain some common terms that are related to senior living or senior housing. So senior living or senior housing is kind of an umbrella term for living in a community or congregate setting without the burden of home ownership and maintenance. So there's a lot of different terms and different levels of care that can fall under senior living. And so I kind of want to break those out, but I want to define what the differences are and how to know where is the right place for a family member or for you to move into. So again, senior housing, senior living is an umbrella term where you're no longer having to maintain the worries of home ownership. And you're usually living in a congregate setting, could be a few people, could be a very, very large campus. So under that setting, there is independent living, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, adult care homes. There's multiple levels of care that could fit under that definition. And all of those different levels of care offer different services, as well as the amount of care and support that would be included with that. So first, let's talk about independent living. Independent living provides residents the setting of kind of living together with other people, each with their own individual private residence, but with a sense of community. And again, not having to deal with the burden of home ownership. So in these independent living communities, they can be smaller communities or part of a very, very large campus. They do not have to require meals. However, some will require maybe 1 meal a day or 5 a week, or some of them may even supply 3 meals a day. Some of them may include some, but the additional are available for purchase. So meal options are something that do vary in independent living quite a bit. So that would be an important question to ask. And we have other videos to talk about that too. So housekeeping may or may not be included. A lot of places do include housekeeping maybe once a week, but it would be something to specifically ask about and see if that is available. Transportation is not always available to like doctor's appointments or grocery stores, but sometimes it is covered. Independent living is not licensed by the state or other agencies. So it is really almost like living in an apartment, but oftentimes with other seniors and living with like lifestyles and having that security and peace of mind. Additionally, some may offer a call button or a push button in case you needed help or have 24-hour staff. But all of those do vary greatly. The staffing, the meals, the housekeeping, the transportation. All of those things can vary depending on the community you choose. Now, the next higher level of care is called assisted living. Assisted living is more of a national term because in different states, it can be called something different. It could be called residential care. It could be called a care home. It could be called a boarding care. It could be called a support service community. It could fall under a lot of different names. But assisted living is probably the more common name that it goes by. What assisted living means is that the care can typically be provided schedulable and predictable. Well, all of us know life is not schedulable or predictable, but for the most part, you can plan that you would need some type of care on an ongoing basis. And assisted living does provide some oversight and assistance if needed. Not everybody needs it, but a lot of times people may move into assisted living because they are seeing the progression of a disease or they don't want to move again in the future. So assisted living is typically licensed by the state, often the Department of Health or Department of Health Human Services. It varies from state to state. But assisted living, typically you have your own private dwelling, again, living in a congregate setting. But aside from, you do get 3 meals a day. There's typically a life enrichment activities program. Housekeeping service, at least weekly, is typically involved. Not always, but typically. But most important with assisted living is you can get activities of daily living support. Activities of daily living, sometimes called ADLs, those things include dressing, bathing, medication, help with incontinence, somebody who needs help getting to and from a dining room, checking throughout the night, help with more of like their care and support. These communities are staffed 24 hours a day, and typically residents would have a call button or at least a pull cord where they could reach out to staff in the event of an emergency. We have more information on assisted living, but that is really kind of like an overview of what assisted living provides. Now, other than assisted living, there's also sometimes memory care communities. Now, memory care communities are really focused on providing care for people who have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or related dementias. This could be Alzheimer's, Lewy body, Parkinson's-related dementia. So the staffing, the training, and just kind of the general activities planning is focused for people who have memory loss and confusion. Typically, the building and community is secured where there's a code to get in and out, because oftentimes people with memory loss may try to wander or get lost. They may be exit seeking, and for their own safety, want them to live in a more secured environment. Oftentimes, the staff also has specialty training so that they know how to redirect, how to de-escalate when someone is anxious or having a hard time. The activities are a little bit more focused in both maybe shorter time periods, or their individual steps are broken out to make it easier for somebody who has some memory loss or confusion. So the activities themselves are designed a little bit differently. The meal plan may also be slightly different. Instead of somebody reading a menu to order, they may have visual cues. Would you like this one or would you like this one? So just the design of the community itself and how those amenities are given is going to be a little different, as well as the training of the staff. Oftentimes the communities are often designed a little bit different as well, so that residents can maybe go on a trail in a circle, or they're available and within eyeshot to OAC care staff. So memory care is kind of a specialized version of getting assisted living. However, the staff, the focus, and the care is really designed for those who have memory loss or confusion, and usually a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or related dementia. Typically, these communities are often smaller in size or may have smaller neighborhoods as well to also assist with that. Now, within both of those, you may have or hear the term adult care home or adult foster home or care home. I typically refer to them as care homes. So care homes are typically a smaller setting, and it usually from the street in the neighborhood just looks like another home. However, they are able to provide some of the care and support that is provided at assisted living or at memory care. There are meals, housekeeping, 24-hour staff, activities and enrichment. Some of them may be secured for memory care, other ones may not be. The difference between a care home and these other communities is from the outside looking in. If you were to drive down the street, they look like a home. Maybe a large home, but they look more like a home, and they typically have less residents living there. These are also regulated by the state, and oftentimes, depending on the state, they may be 5 or less residents, or 6 or less residents, 10 or less residents. It really does depend on the state licensing that regulates that. Last but definitely not least is skilled nursing. Skilled nursing used to be called nursing homes. That's not a term that's very common anymore. It's really referred to more as skilled nursing. Within skilled nursing, the care is no longer schedulable or predictable. So that means that you may need to have the oversight of a nurse. You may need to have something that requires heavier care. And also different states will sometimes decide what is allowed in assisted living and what really needs to elevate up to that higher level of care, which is skilled nursing. Now, within skilled nursing, different states may call it different things as well. They may call it rehab or intermediate care or long-term care. You'll often hear these different terms used interchangeably. So skilled nursing or nursing homes, to use that older term, they've changed a lot over the years, and a lot of communities may focus more on rehab, where someone is going there simply for short term and after a hip replacement or after a fall, and they are getting better and then returning to a less restrictive environment. Or maybe somebody has really, their care is very, very high need, and they will be living out their days in more of a long-term setting in skilled nursing. But skilled nursing, again, is licensed by the state. They often have rehab on site. If someone is needing that rehab potential, they typically have a higher staffing ratio and provide more nursing care. Nursing care would be things more like a sliding scale diabetic who that's not manageable, or wound care, something that requires the oversight of a nurse. Or sometimes just some states have more restrictions on what assisted living can provide, so that higher level of care is needed. So again, kind of the umbrella term is senior living. And all of these terms, independent living, assisted living, memory care, care homes, and skilled nursing fall under there. And they are different stair steps of what care can be provided. And all but independent living are typically licensed by the state. And then there are surveys done to make sure that there's some compliance. Hopefully this helped put that in perspective for you.